Thank you, everybody. I apologize if I'm squinting a little bit until the sun goes down. It's getting a little bit better. My name is Joe Bertagna. I'm Executive Director of the American Hockey Coaches Association. I've had the pleasure of serving in this role in the past, and I guess until they ask somebody else, I have this honor again, and it's a lot of fun. A number of these years, I've had the pleasure to give awards to people that I know, and tonight I'll have the opportunity to present 3 of the awards to people or to their representatives, people that I've had a chance to work with in a long life of ice hockey. This is the second year that we've had all the women's awards together, second or third year. We've changed our format over the years as this convention has grown. We do, like most hockey people, tell the same stories over and over again sometimes. And as I get older, I find myself telling the same stories, not necessarily by design. But we've watched this group grow. We've watched this event grow from people coming off the beach in shorts to a much nicer and more complete evening to honor the game of women's ice hockey. 4 teams playing at the college level and playing women's hockey enjoyed special seasons as they ended up being the national champions in their respective divisions. And we're going to start just by acknowledging the 2 national champions from the American Collegiate Hockey Association, our non-varsity women's programs. At their Division II level, the championship was captured by the University of Wisconsin Stout, coached by Neil Murray, who took a 5-2 win over Alaska. And in the Division I level, the AHCA champion was Northeastern University, coached by Chris Walsh, and they prevailed with a 3-1 win over Minnesota. So congratulations for those 2 teams. Moving to the NCAA champions, avenging a loss to Norwich in last year's final, Coach Scott McDonald and RIT won the Division III NCAA title, defeating Norwich 4-1. And in the Division I final, Minnesota and Coach Brad Frost denied Wisconsin a successful title defense with a 4-2 win for that championship. Congratulations. I'd also like to acknowledge that Brad and Scott did a great job this morning. There was a panel of the NCAA national champions, men's and women's, and it was great listening for anybody that's involved with the sport, particularly if you're coaching a team and you want to know what at least some of the blueprint to win these national championships. I want to acknowledge something from the start. I mentioned how we sometimes are creatures of habit, and some of us that are in the older half of the room more so than others. This is a big night for me. This is the first time I'm trying to do a somewhat paper-free job up here. I have my remarks, all my spontaneous remarks, on my iPad. And I'm from Massachusetts, and you know, the last time I had something like this, it was kind of a Mitt Romney Etch-a-Sketch where you could just shake it a little bit and you could change things. So I'm not so sure I'm going to be able to get through the night. In the interest of full disclosure, I have everything. I have a safety net here in case this thing freezes up. And since my children aren't here to tell me how it actually works, and I don't have a young assistant coach like some of you older head coaches do. So I noticed last year in my my script, I had the pleasure at this point we talked about our women's team had just come back from Switzerland, I think, and successful in the World Championships. And you know, sometimes we talk a lot about the championships. We don't give as much attention when we don't quite reach our goal. But Katie Stone is here. Many of the people in the room were able to get up to Burlington, Vermont to see the championship, or at least some part of the tournament this year. It didn't end the way we wanted it to do, those of us on the red, white, and blue side, but I do want to acknowledge the job that Katie did, and there are other people in the room tonight that had maybe something to do with the program, and there are also some people from the college ranks that are associated with the Canadian program that prevailed. So congratulations to you all. Actually, I should say not just the 2, but also Switzerland, who won the bronze, had a goaltender who played college hockey in Florence Schelling from Northeastern, so congratulations to her as well. We acknowledge the national champions. The AHCA also gives out an individual award. Everybody knows about the Kazmaier Award that USA Hockey is a part of, and on the men's side, the Hobie Baker Award. But at the Division III level, the AHCA has stepped up and recognizes the top Division III NCAA player. On the men's side, it's named after Sid Watson, the former coach at Bowdoin College. And on the women's side, the Laura Hurd Award was named after a four-time All-American at Elmira College, who passed away shortly after graduation. The replica of this award is up here. It's a very attractive award. You can see in between some of the other hardware on this table. It goes to the top women's player in Division III NCAA hockey. The winner of this year's award, a senior from St. Malachy, Quebec, and from Norwich University, is Julie Fortier. So I want to acknowledge her season and this honor. You see the banner to my right. USA Hockey has been a great benefactor, a great sponsor to this event and to obviously amateur hockey, but particularly to the AHCA over the years. This is the 71st year of the American Hockey Coaches Association. And in recent years, we are a membership-driven organization. We have some sponsors that we're very fortunate to have, but USA Hockey in particular helps us in so many ways. And over these next two nights, they're a prime contributor to the events, the women's event tonight and the men's event tomorrow night. It's also very fitting that two of the honorees tonight in particular, I think all three of the major award winners, but two in particular have very close ties to USA Hockey, so I want to acknowledge their support. What we're going to, thank you. The order of presentation will be followed as it is in your the programs that were put on the seats. I do want to acknowledge the committee that recommends the major awards for the AHCA. The Coach of the Year awards that will come up towards the end of the evening are chosen by the coaches. The major awards are chosen by a committee who takes nominations from our body at large. I think most of the people, majority of the people on this committee are in the room tonight, and I would like to acknowledge them because they've done a great job with the three people that we'll be recognizing shortly. Bob Duraney, Heather Lindstad, Laura Halderson, Digit Murphy, and Bill Mandigo. Thank you very much. Great job. And so we'll begin. I'm going to start with the Women's Ice Hockey Assistant Coach Award that recognizes an assistant coach's career body of work. This year's recipient is Bob Belmore from Providence College. Bob, a former goaltending great in the Providence class of 1966, has served as an assistant coach for the Providence women's program for more than 19 years. He's not only had tremendous impact on the PC women's ice hockey program, its championships, and its success, but he's contributed to the sport as a whole while working at the USA Hockey national camps and other camps over this time developing goaltending. Said Friars head coach Bob Duraney in making the nomination, quote, Bob not only works with our goalies, he works with all the players on the team, recruits for us, and is instrumental in performing whatever assignments need to be done to keep our program at a national level. He's a terrific team player, a friend to all the coaches throughout the sport at all levels, which is true. He's also recognized as one of the most experienced goalie coaches in the nation for boys and girls. As a sophomore at Providence, Belmore helped the Friars win their first ECAC title and earn their first berth in the NCAA Frozen Four. He also starred on the school's baseball team and served as the team captain in his senior year. He was voted into the Providence College Athletic Hall of Fame in 1984. His coaching career actually began with Lou Lamorello and the men's team in 1972. He stayed with the men until 1986, when he took the title of manager of Schneider Arena. Soon after, he joined Lou with the New Jersey Devils of the National Hockey League, serving as their goalie coach. In 1991, he returned to Rhode Island, earning his master's degree at Providence and starting a new career at South Kingston High School. He has worked there as both a special education instructor and as a guidance counselor. It is my pleasure as an old goalie and as a friend to present the 2012 Women's Ice Hockey Assistant Coach Award to Bob Belmore.
Joe, we're not old goalies, we're former goalies, okay? Former. First of all, I want to thank the committee led by Bob Delaney, my head coach. I don't want you to think it was a bag job, but but I know all the people on the committee, and I want to thank them for this tremendous honor. So with that, I just want to say that I'm accepting this on behalf of all you assistant coaches out there, because I run into you people in all those ice-cold rinks. Sometimes we're in one rink, sometimes we're in numerous rinks, and you're seeing trying to see 3 or 4 games at the same time. You're running back and forth, and you're eating those rink meals. You're having a hot dog or a pretzel or a hot chocolate, or whatever it is. Or, I started with the men a long time ago, and they couldn't wait to go outside and blow off a cigarette. Now I see the girls. They go out there and they're having an apple, a banana. It's an unbelievable change. It's wonderful to see that. So everybody's healthy, When I started at Providence College, as Joe mentioned, I started with Lou Lamorello with the men's team. But when I came back from New Jersey, John Marchetti, who I think is still one of the winningest coaches in women's ice hockey, was coaching the women's team at the time and asked me if I'd come out and help out with the goalies. And then a few years later, Jackie Bartow took over the team, and she asked me to continue. And then Jackie left, and we had a tremendous guy come in for a half year, 1 semester, Tom Sheehan, who took over as an interim coach, and he did a tremendous job. I think we won 19 games that year, so Jackie left us in good stead there. And then Bob Rainey, 13 years ago, was hired by Providence College, and we've been fortunate to have him. He's been a tremendous coach for him and a great teacher of the kids. And I think on the women's side, there's a lot of teaching that has to go on. And he's just one of the best teachers out there in women's ice hockey. Not only that, he cares about the game, and he's always trying to advance women's ice hockey to make it become more popular. So that's great as well. The other thing, I want to thank Joe and Bob, because they gave me one of the greatest opportunities that a Red Sox fan could ever have. And when I was born, I was born a Red Sox fan because my father just brainwashed me into it. And I got an opportunity to practice at Fenway Park and skate there. And then Providence College played Dartmouth. Unfortunately, we lost 3-2, but it was still a tremendous opportunity. So I thank those 2 guys for that wonderful opportunity. It would have never happened, and it was my last year in coaching. As most of you know, this is my last year. I'm retiring, and what a great way to go out. So I thank you for that. And I just got a couple of, things that I'd like to impart to you assistant coaches as I'm leaving. And I brought this bag. And one thing you got to always have when you're coaching is you got to have a bag of tricks, So always have a bag of tricks with you, all right? It's very important to have a bag of tricks. The other thing, too, is, when the head coach is going south and you're screaming and yelling and you're losing and everything, somebody's got to have a sense of humor. So once in a while, you got to be a clown out there, So don't be afraid to go out there and make a fool of yourself, okay? And get a laugh out of it. And sometimes it lightens things, and everybody gets a chance to move on. So that's a good thing. The other thing in my bag of tricks here, I can find it. As you get older, things mean more to you. So at the Frozen Fenway, we got these hanging socks hats with a little skate on it. And I cherish this hat. But if you're involved in hockey, you have to have a hat trick. And some of you have seen this hat trick, and I'll show it to you now. So if you're involved in hockey, you have to have a hat trick. Now, Joe gave me orders not to sing the goalie national anthem, but I couldn't leave here without singing that. What do you think, Joe? Is it okay? Can I hit him? All right. 1, 2, 3. We love the goalies. Oh, yes, we do. We love the goalies. You hot dogs, you. You burn the forwards the whole day through. Goalies, we love you. Bum, 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 bum. Now, my wife gave me orders not to mention her name, but I can't go without mentioning her name because without her and, putting up with the way you run around all over the country and you're away from home a lot, it doesn't work well unless you have someone that's really understanding. And my wife, Marguerite, out there has been just a wonderful partner for me. So I thank you. And in closing, I'd like to say this. I heard this quote. I don't know who it's attributed to, but what you do for yourself stays with you, but what you do for others lives on. And I hope I've been able to do that with all you people. Thank you.
It's full. I'll give you a chance to calm down after that. He sang that at the Hockey East tournament banquet, but he actually asked all the goalies in the room to stand up. And I remember afterwards he said only one goalie responded appropriately, that Bob Quinn had his hand over his heart during the singing of it. The other memorable moment was that Heather Lindstad stood up, and I said, "What are you standing up for?" And she said she played 6 games in goal at Providence. Of course, I didn't believe her, and I looked it up. And then I really wasn't happy because she had better stats than I did, so which isn't really that great an accomplishment. Before I move on, it just occurred to me, one of the things I have to do when we leave Naples, we go back home, and we design the newsletter that summarizes the week down here. And guess what picture is going to be on the front cover of that baby with the red nose right in the middle of it. Next, we come to the Joe Burke Award. Joe Burke Award is the longest presented award here, and I'm proud to say I'm a former recipient. This is presented annually to the person who was given outstanding contribution, support, and dedication to women's ice hockey. It is named in honor of a girls and women's hockey superfan, Joe Burke. This year's recipient is Bob Allen from USA Hockey and from Lake Placid. The late Bob Allen was one of the most influential figures in the growth of women's ice hockey in the United States. Much of his work took place in Lake Placid, New York, where his son Denny currently works for ORDA, the Olympic Regional Development Authority. The senior Allen was a charter member of the Lake Placid Sports Council and served on a number of boards and committees, advancing the interests of both ice hockey and figure skating. Bob spent 25 years as president of the New York State Hockey Association and was a member of the Lake Placid Olympic Organizing Committee, and in that capacity, chaired the ice hockey planning and engineering committees for the 1980 Winter Games at Lake Placid. From 1981 to 1983, Bob was the manager of Appleton Arena at St. Lawrence University. He then returned to Lake Placid to serve ORDA from 1983 to 1989. It was in this next period that his influence on women's ice hockey was particularly strong. A member of the USA Hockey Board of Directors, Allen played a major role in the elevation of women's ice hockey as a medal sport, commencing with the 1998 games. He served as chairman of that first U.S. team that won the inaugural gold medal. Numerous scholarships have been named in Bob's honor, as is the U.S. Women's National Team locker room at Lake Placid and the USA Hockey Women's Player of the Year Award. He served USA Hockey for 40 years as secretary and vice president and was given director emeritus status when he retired in 2005, and Bob passed away in March of 2007. I've had the pleasure of spending some time at Lake Placid when I worked for the ECAC, and we had our tournament there, and it's been fun to see this week some of the people from Lake Placid that come down here to honor Bob's memory and this award. And it's my pleasure to call up Denny Allen to receive this award on Bob's behalf.
Unfortunately, I do not have a song to sing here tonight. If I'd have known there was singing, I would have prepared something. I'd certainly like to thank the American Hockey Coaches Association for this wonderful honor. I'd like to thank Joe Bertagna and Bruce Delventhal for the wonderful hospitality and having myself and my wife here this evening. We certainly appreciate it. As Joe said, my dad was involved in hockey for over 40 years. And he enjoyed the game, but he certainly enjoyed the people much more. And that showed when he got involved in women's hockey. He was involved from the late 80s, early 90s, and really enjoyed his relationship with the women. One time after he came home from a pretty tiring week of meetings and games, I asked him, he was getting kind of older, and I said, "Why do you do this?" He said, "I do it because they appreciate everything we do for them, both on and off the ice." And I think it's important as this sport grows, and it obviously is exploding, that we don't lose track or sense of all the hard work those women did in the late 80s and early 90s to promote the sport. They wouldn't take no for an answer, and they worked very, very hard. Thank you very much for this honor, and I'd certainly like to thank Walter Bush for all the opportunities he gave my family and the help and joy that he brought my dad and all the compassion he showed to my mom. Thank you very, very much.
For the award winners, we have boxes that the awards came in. I know we present the award when you come up here, but they're easily nicked and so forth in travel. So before you leave, come up and see me. We'll take care of that. We come to the Women's Ice Hockey Founders Award. This award honors a member of the hockey community or college coaching profession who has contributed to the overall growth and development of the sport of women's ice hockey in the United States through their enthusiasm, passion, and selflessness. The 2012 recipient is Walter Bush from USA Hockey. Sometimes you get biographies, you go look them up, or they're submitted, and for the presentation part, you look to edit or to size it down to be manageable, but this one can't be edited for all the things that Walter has done in his career. One of the most recognized and respected leader in hockey, Walter Bush is chairman of the board for USA Hockey, a position he has held since June of 2003. He has served as a member of the organization's board of directors since 1959 and became president of USA Hockey in June of 1986 following William Thayer Tutt and Tom Lockhart. He served in that capacity for 17 years before taking his current position as chairman of the board. In recognition of his 45th year of service to USA Hockey, the organization dedicated its national headquarters in Colorado Springs as the Walter L. Bush Jr. Center in June of 1999. Walter retired as a member of the International Ice Hockey Federation Council in May of 2008 after a 23-year stint, the last 14 years as a vice president of the organization. He served on numerous committees within the IAHF, including as chair of the Women's Ice Hockey Committee. In that capacity, he was instrumental in organizing the first IAHF Women's World Championship. He also led the successful charge that made women's ice hockey a medal sport in the Olympic Winter Games, as we know, beginning in 1998. He's been involved as a player, coach, manager, administrator, and team owner. His hockey background includes having played at the high school, college, and senior levels. His senior team won 3 Minnesota State championships, and from there, he became involved in team management. He managed the 1959 U.S. national team at the World Championships, and in 1964, he served as the general manager of the U.S. team in the 1964 Olympics. He was president of the Minnesota Amateur Hockey Association for 3 years and was owner and president of the minor league Minneapolis Bruins from 1963 to 65. He later led a group of businessmen in securing a National Hockey League franchise, the Minnesota North Stars, for the Twin Cities area. He served as the North Stars' first president from 1967 to 1976 and later became chairman of the board. He spent 17 years in the NHL, working with a variety of committees. Afterward, he was active in professional hockey as a principal owner of the American Hockey League's Kentucky Thoroughblades. He's a delegate to the USOC representing hockey, and he is secretary of the U.S. Olympic Foundation. During the 2002 Olympic Winter Games, he received the Olympic Order from the International Olympic Committee, the highest honor in the Olympic movement. He was elected to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2000. He received the NHL's Lester Patrick Award in 1973 in recognition of his outstanding service to ice hockey in the United States. He was enshrined in the United States Hockey Hall of Fame in 1980, and in 1989 was elected to the Minnesota Sports Hall of Fame. He currently serves as a governor for the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto. Walter, who was honored with the U.S. Olympic Foundation's inaugural George Steinbrenner Leadership Award in 2006, resides in Naples, Florida, with his wife Sis. He has a daughter, Ann Hansen, and two sons, Walter and Stephen. Many of us in this room have been affected by Walter, either directly or indirectly, with opportunities inside hockey in general or with USA Hockey specific. So it's a great privilege for us to be here as we present the Founders Award to Walter Bush. I know the feeling. I'm getting there.
Well, I don't know who you're reading about because I'm not sure that that Walter Bush I know did all those things. But hockey has been in my blood since I was a youngster skating outside in Minnesota and just enjoying the sport. I tried other sports and wasn't too successful playing golf. I'm sitting with my old roommate Peter Stein from Dartmouth College, and Peter's dad was a golf pro, and I was too stupid to take any lessons from him. But at any rate, I'm really honored to receive this award. I got the letter in the mail from the American Coaches Association, and I opened it, and I was a little bit kind of stunned, and I looked at it, and it said, that they would have elected me, and I appreciate it from the people that were on the selection committee. And I looked at it, and it looked like a very, very wonderful thing for me. I was going to get 2 tickets, air tickets, anywhere I wanted to come from, and had rooms here at the hotel, and I had a stipend for some meals and anything, a table for some friends and or family and anything that I wanted. And I said, boy, that's really something. And I said to Bruce, there's really only one thing I want. And he said, well, what would that be after what he told me? Well, I said, I'd like a half a pint of gasoline because I said, I live 16 blocks from here and I'm not able to walk that far. So Bruce said, whatever, and we laughed and had a good giggle. But it's pretty hard to talk about women's hockey in 5 minutes. And what happened was really a lot of it was some luck and some prodding. And I always like to ask a lot of questions, and I like to talk a long time. And Bruce said that this should be very short, but I just can't, with this audience, I just can't make it short because I'll try to do the best I can. But what happened, I was appointed to the International Council and took over the women's program because the Europeans cared nothing about women's hockey. They didn't want to talk about women. We know what happens in Russia. When I was there in 1959, they were sweeping the streets, and I was behind the Iron Curtain with their team for 30 days, and the women were not a real active group. But at any rate, I wrote a letter as my duty to try to find out about women's hockey in the Olympics and why we had men's hockey but not women's. And I grew up in a family. My late wife was in the ice volleys and a professional skater for a while, and I have a daughter that's very athletic and is the #1 singles player for Colorado College in her freshman year. So we didn't have any gender issues in our house. We'd team up the boys against the girls or one boy, one girl, and it didn't make any difference. So I went about my job, and I wrote a letter to the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, and I said, why is it or how that we don't have hockey, women's hockey on the Olympic calendar? And I got a letter back, and it was about 5 lines, and they said, well, thank you for your inquiry, sir, but we do have women's hockey, and for your information, it's field hockey, and it's played in the summer. And thank you again, and that was the end of it. So I found out we had to have 2 world championships. So I got my friend Murray Costello, and the two of us put together the first really official IIHF championship, which took a little bit of prodding from my fellow European colleagues on the, they weren't my fellow Europeans, even though I'm half English and half German, but I was more German in going through this process. But at any rate, at any rate, we had the tournament in Ottawa, and some of the gals here, Katie was on that team, and I don't know who else is here that was there, but they had the Canadians were all revved up, and no offense to Canada, but I've lived with them for all these years, and many of my best friends are Canadian. As Herb Brooks used to say, they're not bad people. Some of them are my friends, but when we get on a rink, we really don't have that spirit. But at any rate, we had the tournament. It was successful. The Canadian women all had pink uniforms, pink socks, pink breezers, pink jerseys, and they were all gung-ho, and our team put on, Kelly Dyer was our goaltender, and put on a good show, and I had movies taken of them, of this game, and so I brought them back to my friends and fellow council members and showed what women's hockey looked like. And the president, Mr. Fassel, who I got elected, helped to get elected to the job of president, and we were very, very good friends, a little Swiss referee with a mustache, looked like Adolf Hitler, but he's still a good friend. But at any rate, they told me, they said, this is not a possibility. Women cannot skate this fast. You've sped up the films. And so again, we had these arguments, and we did find out, we had the one tournament, and then we had another in Helsinki, and I met up with a gal that was a bronze winner from in track and field at the Montreal Games, and became very friendly with her, not overly friendly, but enough that she backed it, and I invited the program director of the IOC up to Finland, and lo and behold, in that year, 1992, the Olympic Committee, the IOC, decided that there would be women's hockey in Nagano in 1998. And then I tried to fast forward it to 90, it would be 94 in Norway. And then the Nagano people said, well, we can't, the program's been done, we can't have it. And I had a good friend, Sho Tomita, that was a goaltender in the 1960 Olympic team and faced about 80 to 90 hard rubber shots every game in Squaw Valley. And we became friends, and he was able to put through that we had the Olympic Games in Nagano in 1998. And the nice thing about it was that my granddaughter was born. My wife was sick, and my late wife, and couldn't come to over with us. But she bore my daughter bore this child on the same date that they won the gold medal. So I had 2 gold medals, and it was very touching. And I can remember kind of going into our dressing room after the game and thanking the gals. But at any rate, what has happened since then is unbelievable. And I was president of the Federation, or USA Hockey at the time, and came back to Colorado Springs. I live in Minnesota, but came back to the headquarters, and we had our meetings, and Bob Allen was so involved, and he and I were so close, and we had named him as the international vice president. And he and I spent a lot of time together, and when I came in the room and then saw his name, I think the synergism of the committee was outstanding, because I have so much respect for him and Denny and the family. But at any rate, after that, we thought, we should have a college tournament, USA Hockey. And we put this college tournament together and talked to the NCAA, and they really weren't ready at the time to get involved. And we did it for 3 years. And then we got a call, and they said, you know, the thing looks like it's going to be kind of successful, and we'd like to take it over. And we said, well, you certainly are welcome, and we will give you all the support we can, because we're not in the position of trying to capture everything, but basically just trying to move people, as Bob Johnson used to say, up the mountain. So it's gone so far and so wonderful. You know, in Minnesota, we've got 53 to 60 high schools playing women's hockey, and it's been just a tremendous treat for me to see the numbers in USA Hockey. It was the number one growing attendance that we've had, and one thing that I will brag about, and that is that I married a good-looking gal, and then I ended up, when she passed away, I married one of her close friends who was also not only a good-looking gal, but has born with me and gone over Europe and whatever and put up with me. And I'd like to introduce my wife, Sis Bush, Kathleen, and what her initials are, unfortunately, her name was Kathleen Grogan Bush, and it stands for KGB. and every once in a while, we are like the KGB, so I'm on my best behavior, and we've had a lot of fun with the Russians when we tell them that we've got a KGB in the room and whatever. But I just want to thank all the players and the coaches. And what I like to see is these players are going from being players to coaches, and we've turned it over, you know, pretty much to the women's side, and it's just growing by leaps and bounds. And you all were so kind to think of me on this thing, and I will cherish it, because, you know, I spent my life and I look at it on both genders, both on the men's side and the women's side, and I've never been one to turn down the smile of a nice woman and try to cooperate, and that's what's happened. The one thing I will brag about is that always, when I was involved with hockey, I always found somebody that would do what I was supposed to do and pass on my job to them. And, you know, so far it's worked. Our president's Ron DiGregorio he came in to see me when I was with the North Stars, and he was on the national team as a goalie. He wanted to know how to run a professional hockey team. So he'd come in my office, and we'd put him to work. The girls would put him to work after practice with the old Xerox machines and printing stuff, and, you know, just kind of learning. And then he talked me into getting involved in buying the Kentucky Thoroughblades, and went into Kentucky. And that was unfortunately kind of a bust. We left $1 million ice palace in the wonderful Rupp Arena, and they made us take our flags down after every game. And we found out that the Kentuckians like basketball better than hockey. So fortunately, we pawned the thing back to the San Jose Sharks, and they've moved it, I don't know, all over eastern United States. But anyway, my hockey dreams have come true, just seeing Mark Johnson here tonight and knowing his dad, Bob, and hiring Bob away from the Calgary Flames, because Mark's mother didn't want to really stay in Calgary the rest of her life, and thought that Colorado Springs would be a good situation. But so many stories that you could tell, and I've gone way past my time, but I do want to thank all the parents, the coaches, and the players. And this thing will get better and better and better. And the style that you're being taught by our coaches of speed and skill, instead of crashing each other on the ankles with sticks at times, and playing a rough kind of game. One interesting little note, that when the Olympics, Olympic Committee decided that there would be Olympics, and it was decided in '92, that was the same year that body checking was taken out of the women's program, and body contact was put in. But with that, you all want to get to the hot spots down in this area. And I know this was just another terrible day in South Florida, you know, as far as the weather. And I know you've all had to be inside, and it's been a real pleasure seeing so many people that I know, and I just really am looking forward to this thing going up, up, up. So to Joe, thank you for that long introduction. I'd like a copy of it if you could. With that, I'll close, and I really do want to say God bless America, because that's really what we're all struggling for right now, and sports is a big part of it. So good luck to our Olympic team this summer over in London, and just keep supporting the movement of your own schools and your own kids program. So again, Joe, where are you? You better get up here. Okay, thank you very, very much.
Good job, Walter. Walter referenced Bruce Delventhal in his remarks, and rather than wait till the end and where I might forget, Bruce and I are kind of the, he said the other day, Laurel and Hardy. I'm not sure that's the tandem I'd like to think of us as, but we are a pair down here, and he does a lot of the, with these banquets, he's kind of the stealth guy that gets in here in the afternoon and sets things up, and then he's out. But he's obviously a major part of this whole week and this event, and he was a contact to all the award winners, so I want to make sure Bruce gets the credit he deserves. We now come to our Coach of the Year awards in both the ACHA and the NCAA, and I have some help for the presentation of these awards. We'll begin with the Women's Coach of the Year awards in non-varsity hockey as voted by the members of the American Collegiate Hockey Association. To make these presentations, I'd like to call up one of our AHCA governors. He has done this a number of years. He'll do this with the men's awards tomorrow night. A former player at the University of Vermont, please welcome Marshall Stevenson.
Thank you, Joe. The ACHA Women's Division II Coach of the Year is Scott Volkeroth of the University of Alaska. In only its third year of existence, Scott not only led the University of Alaska to its first berth in the Women's Division II National Championships, but the Nanooks ended up playing in the 2012 championship game, eventually settling for a second-place finish as the Women's Division II national runners-up with an 8-3-1 in record. The Nanooks' run to the World Women's Division II National Championship game began with a loss to #1 seed University of Delaware, but was followed by two convincing wins over Rainy River Community College and Slippery Rock University. However, their season ended with a 5-2 defeat at the University of Wisconsin Stout, the Women's Division II 2012 national champions. To qualify for the national championships, the Nanooks traveled more than 6,000 miles for a pair of 4-game road trips, one in December to North Dakota, South Dakota, and one in January to Duluth, Minnesota. The team came away with a record of 6-1-1. Away games were the norm since no one was willing to travel to Fairbanks. Scott, born in Calgary, Alberta, played junior hockey in Langley, British Columbia before moving on to play 4 years of NCAA Division I hockey at the University of Alaska. Volkeroth began coaching women's hockey at the youth level in 2005 before moving on to the University of Alaska. Scott is the only coach the 3-year-old program has had, and Scott is a University of Alaska graduate with a BS in wildlife biology. Scott Volkeroth, ACHA Women's Division II Coach of the Year.
Thank you. Sometimes I like to think I'm a little bit of an anomaly. I'm a coach who doesn't like to talk very much, so I'm going to try to keep this short. First off, I want to thank the ACHA. It provides a platform for so many young men and women to continue playing the game that they love at the college level, where they might not get the opportunity otherwise. Second of all, I'd like to thank my wife. She wasn't able to make it down. A little side note, because it's the first question I get every time I meet somebody. It is a long trip. But without her support and encouragement, I wouldn't be able to do what I do, even if that means the occasional time at home where she'll talk to me for 10 minutes, look at me, say, "You have no idea what I was talking about." I just kind of look back with scared deer in the headlights look and thinking about hockey. Yeah, of course. And she just shakes her head. So without that, I wouldn't be able to do this. And lastly, I just want to thank my team. I'm a believer that a lot of times a coach gets too much credit when the team's winning and then too much criticism when the team's losing. And honestly, this year I just had the privilege of coaching a team where once it got on the ice, they're going to play their hearts out for each other. And anytime you have a team like that, it makes the job as coach a lot easier. Thank you.
The ACHA Women's Division I Coach of the Year is Bud Hickey of Robert Morris University, Illinois. Bud's first year leading the team as head coach, the Lady Eagles rebounded from disappointing finishes the past 2 seasons by compiling 27 wins, the most in ACHA Women's Division I this year, winning the ACHA Showcase Tournament in November by winning 4 straight games over Michigan, Rhode Island, Colorado State, and Michigan State, securing the #1 overall seed for the Women's Division I National Championships, and closing with an overall record of 27-14-3. He also coached the Lady Eagles to their first ever Central Collegiate Women's Hockey Association Championship. The Lady Eagles finished tied for first place with an 11-1-2 record, and then won 5 straight playoff games to win the CCWHA Tournament Championship and an automatic berth to the ACHA Women's Division I National Championships. The ACHA Women's Division I National Championships, the Lady Eagles won their pool and advanced to the semifinals. Robert Morris finished the national tournament with a win over Massachusetts in the consolation game, ending the season as the #3 team in the country. Before becoming head coach of the Women's Division I program, Bud was the head coach of the Men's Division II team, as well as recruiting coordinator for the Robert Morris University hockey program. Bud has been coaching hockey for over 20 years and is married to Antoinette, and Bud and Tony have 3 children. Bud Hickey, ACHA Women's Division I Coach of the Year.
Like Walter, I'd like to have a copy of that speech too. Thank you. I'm quite humbled and honored, and on behalf of Robert Morris University, Illinois, our Lady Eagle hockey players especially, and the fantastic coaching staff that I have the privilege of being part of. I'd also like to thank USA Hockey, the American Hockey Coaches Association, the ACHA, for this very prestigious honor and the ability to represent women's ice hockey today. It's an honor to be in the company of such passionate and dedicated individuals who promote the game of women's ice hockey. And being new to coaching women's hockey just this year, but being part of ice hockey for 20 years, I have a renewed appreciation for the game, the passion that the people in this room put forth to promote the game, and the privileges that it affords young women and men, quite frankly, to be part of that process, whether being players or coaches or being part of the process in an administrative capacity. I'd personally like to thank those who helped me make the transition from the men's game to the women's game, and quite frankly, it was much more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Having coached a long time, I thought I had a pretty good grasp on how to do things and how to run things, and the girls on my team were really quick to point out that I needed to make some adjustments if we were going to be successful, and I took those to heart immediately. And without the help of the mentoring of some of the folks in this room, that would not have been possible. And I'll try to be as brief as possible, but I just want to make sure that I thank Marshall Stevenson in particular from the ACHA, Joe Bertagna for hosting the event tonight and honoring the coaches, Brian Moran and Ashley Bevan, Chris Wilk, who was our commissioner of ACHA D1 this year and took a lot of crazy emails and phone calls from me at several times and hours answering questions that I probably should have known. Kim Becker, who will be taking over as our commissioner next year, who is the VP, and Mike Radakovich. I don't know if Mike's in the room here tonight, but he gave me my start in ACHA D2 on the men's side, being part of the competition committee and the ranking committees. I'd also like to congratulate Chris Wells of St. Lawrence and Mark Bolding of Norwich. It's a privilege for me to be honored in the same room with the NCAA coaches as well. We all aspire to leading our young women and players and men to higher feats above and beyond the hockey playing arena. And I think that this is a representation of what this is all about. And I'm just very honored to be part of that process. My fellow ACHA coaches, in particular, Scott Hicks from Miami of Ohio, who nominated me for the award, Chris Cobb from UMass, who's been a good friend, Rob Blackburn, who's at our table right there, and the list goes on and on. Beth McCann, who's a two-time award winner of this prestigious award, Corey Whitaker from Grand Valley State, just to name a few. I'd also like to thank Tom Wenland, who's at our table over there, who's our director of hockey operations, who gave a young, cocky, upstart high school coach with a couple of championships a chance to be a college coach and knock me down a few pegs, which really helped my development in the long run. So I wanted to say thank you to Tom and to Megan Smith-Eggert, our athletic director, who's continued to support me throughout the years and given me opportunities to move up within Robert Morris University. I'd also like to thank, I have the greatest assistant coaches and coaching staff that you could ask for. Chris Chelios, my assistant, couldn't be here tonight. He's got a brother who's getting married, so he's got a higher priority than being down at the hockey convention, although he sure would like to be here. And my assistants, Mandy Dion, who's a former ACHA player who was promoted to a graduate assistant role this year, Leila Ciano, who's our athletic trainer, Julie Cerrone, our fitness trainer, and Hope Fulham, also a former player that joined our coaching staff this year. So, you know, we're honored to have women move up throughout the organization and get opportunities to coach and further their careers and their aspirations. In closing, I'd like to thank my family first and foremost. My mom, Carol Borman, my dad, Dick Borman, and my father, Walter Hickey. They can't be here. They were the ones who, in 1976, when I was a young kid at St. Rita High School in Chicago, decided that they would make financial sacrifices for me to be able to play the game that I enjoyed so much, which was ice hockey, and has led to my development as a person and in my career, and has given me the skills to be successful outside of the ice arena, which is the values that I try to put forth to my players and try to instill in them as they pursue their careers. My children, Michelle Hickey, who's off to Iowa State University this year. I've already hit Al Murdoch up for a student worker job for her. Patrick, my son, who's my biggest fan and my harshest critic, who always said to me, Dad, how come you don't win awards more often? So this is for him. And my little guy, Timmy, who's 7 years old, a little young hockey player, and wanted to know, Dad, if you won a Women's Coach of the Year award, you're still a guy and you're still my dad, aren't you? So I had to put that out. It never really put it in perspective. And last but certainly not least, my lovely wife, Antoinette, who's been a hockey widow for more than 20 years, has allowed me to pursue my passion, which is instructing and teaching and coaching young people so that they can achieve the goals and aspirations that they hope and dream of. It's not an easy task for those coaches, wives who are in the audience here. You make tremendous sacrifices. My wife is one of those who does that as well, and my outside career also takes me on travel across the U.S. all the time, so I'm very fortunate to have a career that allows me to coach as well. So I'm on the road a lot, and I just want to say I love you and thank you very much.
Just a reminder to all the award winners, when the dinner ends, Jennifer up here, and we'll take pictures, group pictures from the university or from the division or friends that are here with the award recipients. As we get to the NCAA awards, I want to, in the interest of full disclosure, a number of years ago when we moved from bowls, kind of traditional awards, to the glass awards here, we found that when you ship these things, they sometimes arrive in more pieces than they began in. So we use these particular items here as placeholders for tonight, and the actual awards will be shipped from the company in Rhode Island to the recipients. So these are permanent awards that stay down here for the presentations. We also send awards out to the assistant coaches, so that a number of years ago, I think it was Bruce Crowder, when he received his award, he paid on his own for replicas for his staff, and many coaches do refer to it as a staff award. So that became a permanent tradition with the AHCA, that not only does the head coach receive an award, but the smaller one goes to the assistant coaches receive. So with that, we will move on to the presentation of the NCAA awards. And as he has also done in the past, it's my pleasure to bring up one of our governors who is going off his term, I think, as he smiles, on the Board of Governors of the AHCA, a former Coach of the Year recipient himself from Amherst College, Jim Plumer.
Thanks for the instructions and the fact that I don't have to adjust this microphone too much. I want to acknowledge and thank Brett Peterson, who's the president of the AHCA, for being here tonight. To my recollection, this is the first time we've had the president join us for the women's dinner, so thank you, Brett. Okay, so I had to adjust it a little, and I will after I present this award. It's my pleasure to present the Division III Coach of the Year award to Mark Boulding from Norwich University. In 5 seasons, he's molded the cadets into a national powerhouse, reaching the Final Four in the last 4 years, and playing in the championship game for 3 consecutive years. For the last 4 years, their record's been a remarkable 90, 21, and 8. And he's got 1 national championship and 2 runner-up finishes in the last 3 years. This year, the cadets broke many scoring records. They scored 183 goals in 31 games, which I believe is the most in Division III history, and was 36 goals more than the next closest team. Their power play percentage at 33.8%. The good news is that they failed 66.2%. So for the rest of us that played them, was also the best in Division III history. This year he's down here for his 3rd time with his family to take him to Disney World. I'm wondering if the kids are starting to mark this on the calendar every year, and he'll, I'm sure, tell us about that. He's a 1995 graduate of Norwich and a member of the school's Hall of Fame, and I'm pleased and proud to be his friend and to present this award to Mark Boulding. Can we do it while he holds the trophy? All right. I mean, I had it once, but thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. And Joe, thank you for all you do for us. And Brett, great to have you here as well. And as he alluded to, whoever's family members involved in the Citibank rep, I get lots of calls because we're spending a lot of money at Disney over the past 3 junctures down here. So all you D3 coaches who continually to vote for my crappy jokes and my presentation, you're costing me an arm and a leg, and please stop this nonsense. There's no benefits at Disney. There's no will call window to go back and say, I won 3 of these. Does it matter? It really doesn't matter. You still pay full fare. So, you know, I'm very honored to be here. And you know, what I want to just do right off the bat is again, congratulate all the major award winners and some very inspirational words and a long history from some extremely important hockey minds that are out here today. So very, very honored to be in the same presence as the major award winners today. Had a chance to meet Scott in Alaska this summer, and the fish are big up there, and he's a great guy. He's a soft-spoken guy, but he's a wonderful guy. So great to get to know more people in hockey, and that's really the goal. Every year that you come down here. So congrats to all the major award winners. Again, really impressive to have a chance to meet Brad in Minnesota when I snuck out there, and to see them win a national championship is wonderful for Minnesota. And our IT, Scott McDonald and his staff, there's not a better team, and they proved it, and they took it to us. And congrats, Scott, and as you guys move on, just a job well done in building that program. And congrats and all the best to you guys as you move forward. So just want to say that. And the next gentleman, I don't know if he's kind of the Bill Murray or the Chevy Chase. I don't know which it is, but Mr. Wells, I can't wait to hear the St. Lawrence reply next. And very, very honored to be doing this the same year as the St. Lawrence staff. So well done, staff, and can't wait to hear you guys. As I said, I'm really honored to be here. To win it 3 times in a row is you're just lucky. You're fortunate to have a good hockey team behind you. And as I sat, I had a Cahill moment today, but it was with Peter. It was kind of nice, knee high. Of course, I had to fetch him a beer, as always. The Cahills never pay for the beer, so I was supplying the beer to him, and we had a great talk about life and kids and just what it's all about. And just you wish you had a speed dial to one of the Cahills at all times to chat about hockey and life. So that was a nice moment. But Coach Mandigo, there's the honor for me. I mean, I'm up against a gentleman who's won it 3 times in a row and is at the head of the pack of wins. And so Bill, you're a great mentor, and so that's a true pleasure to be in that type of company, and Kevin Hoole's there as well. But I just want to acknowledge how important it is to be in that company with those types of coaches, and it's a true honor. So my staff, we had a great season. Came up 1 game short, 1 period short, but to a great team. So it's hard to feel too upset about the way things panned out. I got a great staff, and I had a great hockey team. We scored a lot of goals. We had a lot of fun. We finally figured out that we're going to go to a video captain for next year. We're not even going to really worry about captains. Just whoever's the best at selecting videos on the bus is going to get a V. And kind of like old school Russian captain, with a V. And yeah, that's the most important thing. Who's selecting the videos on the bus and keeping the teams loose, because hockey is at our level. It's important to win, but it's more important to make sure that the kids are having a great experience, and we're able to do that consistently, and that's a credit to all the kids that we have. It's great to have the major, some of the awards that we did. Our kids were awarded with some All-Americans, so that's a wonderful thing for a team to have. But Keith, I've got a great staff. Keith Maurice is here tonight. He's a great assistant coach. He played at Norwich, and he's terrific on the bench. He's a great mentor for the young ladies, and I'm fortunate to have him on the staff. And got some other great volunteers that help. I have a lot of volunteers, and they do their little part, and I think everybody just enjoys being a special part of Norwich hockey. So, and the big one is clearly my wife for letting me continue down this crazy path of coaching. I've had a lot of ups and downs, trying to figure out, am I really supposed to be doing this as a career? And clearly she's been supportive the whole way through. And we got 5 great kids, and we've figured out that the Naples Beach Hotel has daycare after the 3rd year, so they're not here draped all over us. They have the same sunburn as they did the previous 2 years. So they're in daycare, and we'll get them eventually, we think. But if you see me on the beach, just leave me alone for a couple hours. But honest, it's a great honor, and again, I'm very very humbled to be part of the Coaches Association and all the winning organizations that just do a lot for the young ladies to see them get better as young people and get out in the real world and make a difference. So thanks everybody for all your votes, and hopefully I'll be back in the cheap seats next year. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. The Division I NCAA Coach of the Year award goes to Chris Wells of St. Lawrence University. Chris has just finished his 4th season and carries a record of 80 wins, 53 losses, and 16 ties. And returned the Saints to national prominence this year, finishing number 7 in the final postseason poll. But as we learned, as many of the women's coaches learned, it was a tale of 2 seasons, as Chris so eloquently and honestly shared with us some of his experiences. On November 22nd, St. Lawrence stood at 6-7-3, and proceeded to quickly run off 8 wins in a row, and to finish the season and the ECAC playoffs on an 18-2-1 run, which included the ECAC title with a 3-1 win over Cornell. They advanced to the NCAA quarterfinals, where they fell to Boston College. But clearly, Chris, and I hope you're going to tell us a little bit more about the communication summit you had with your team. Clearly, Chris effected an amazing turnaround. He's a 1992 graduate of St. Lawrence, and I'm pleased to present the Division I Coach of the Year to Chris Wells.
Just going to recap the season here. Going to try to incorporate as many people in the room as I can. Try to use your creativity, please. Our Maria Lewis and Clark expedition started in the cold Bob Duraney Fall in Canton, New York. We played 500 hockey until Thanksgiving, when we broke for a week to enjoy some John Berkey and stuffing. As the Brad Frost hit the ground, we focused our energy on 2012. We returned from Christmas break and packed up our camper, Saul, as it was time to man to go to Boston to look for a flint to ignite our second half fire. As the entire country was caught up in Lindstad sanity, we were trying to add digits to the win column. We drew Dartmouth in the ECAC quarterfinals. We won 2-0, but we're only a Holly Ting off the pipe away from having our season end. In the semifinals, we were to face Harvard. In our last 4 games, we had been outscored 26-6. Not exactly a Brian Adelsky matchup for us, as we hadn't beaten them since the Kennedy administration. Carmen McDonald, Katie stoned the Crimson, and we won an OT. In the finals versus Cornell, Doug dared us to take 3 penalties in the first period to see if we could still win. We turned to Kelly Sabatine, who had the hot Nate Hanrahan in the playoffs, and she scored with 1:52 left on the Brian McCloskey to win the game. Ali Bureau scored in the empty net to Rick Seeley the deal, and our team erupted as we knew it was Miller time. just to make DeRoche or DeRoziers that we were in the NCAA tournament, we watched the selection show. We traveled to Boston College, where we found the weather to be fit for a king, or Crowley. We had a 3-1 lead until BC scored, and scored Paul Flanagan, and again, and again, and again. All in all, it was a very rewarding season, and I certainly appreciate all your Wells wishes. Not a lot to do up in Canton. A little bit more to do in Canton than Norwich. We got 3, you got 5. Mark Johnson, thanks for lending out the award this year. Appreciate it. Probably the only roster you're going to see Mark Johnson and I together on. Mark Bolding, thanks for inviting me here to your award show. I seriously like to thank Joe Britannia for all you do for women's hockey. Started a long time ago, all the things you do here to get this evening in great order. Jim had the great nickname. Someone came up to me and called him Plume Dog Millionaire. So Jim, thanks for all your hard work here. Mayor, thank you a couple of times, Mayor. That's probably not enough, but Mayor, for all your work that you do with AWCHA, and Claudia, too, with the AWCHA, allowing us to have such a good time down here. Also, Bob, where's the hitman, Durrani? Bob, thanks for your passion and your tireless efforts to get 100% here on the awards. Brad Frost, to you and your staff. Frosty, I don't know where you are, but certainly a great effort. About 3 years ago, he went off the grid and decided to recruit outside Minnesota, which takes a little bit of courage, I think, for anybody in this business to know the pressures that he faces with, the internal pressure in Minnesota. To go off the grid and really make a conscious effort to go outside and recruit outside Minnesota. You were awarded this year with a national championship, so congratulations. Scott McDonald, welcome to Division I next year. You're stepping on a nice national championship. Congratulations. I think you could tell how good your team was. Mark actually gave you a compliment, so that was pretty good. He doesn't toss them out very much. So, and obviously, we're all of us probably aren't here without the beginning efforts of people like Katie and Digit and Heather and Laura Halderson. I'm sure they envisioned something like this. When I first started back in 93, 94, this is where the men's banquet was, and this is kind of exactly where it was. And to see us in this place, certainly you guys, if you're not smiling, you should be, because you guys have done a good job to get us a lot of great opportunities, and certainly appreciated. Some people have helped me along the way. PJ, over here, Paul Flanagan, not only did he leave to Syracuse to allow me to move down the hallway and take over the women's program, but he started up the women's program and created the environment, which I was able to step right into. PJ, thank you. PJ coached me in high school. My mom didn't want me to play high school because I weighed 115 pounds at the time. So PJ convinced her, Mom's here. I'm getting to you, Mom, in a bit here. But PJ convinced my mom to allow me to play, but we practiced at 5:30 at Appleton Arena, and the only reason that I could, the only way I would get there is if PJ came and picked me up, because she wasn't going to be taking me there. So PJ, thank you. Obviously, another coach from St. Lawrence who has a tremendous amount of influence on me, Joe Marsh. I just wanted to mention him. I got a lot of people here. Got 2 tables worth, so I'm obviously very appreciative and humbled to see how much enthusiasm you have towards this, so thank you. I got my mother-in-law here, Anita. She lives down here in Naples. She took a quick trip over to South Beach a couple weeks ago. Still waiting for some video footage on that. Yeah. Grandma's gone wild type stuff, I'm not sure. Yeah. Bringing the heat. Yeah. I got my mom here. She didn't go to South Beach. And I wouldn't be able to say that about her anyway, right? My dad couldn't make it down, but certainly mom and dad for all the support that I've had from them throughout this whole process of life. So thanks, mom and dad. Thanks for coming down. Means a lot. My sister Gretchen came down. I got 2 tables to go through here, so my sister Gretchen's here. She flew down from Boston. I got my brother and sister-in-law. I got a whole table over there. I got, who else? We got Carvey. He's taking over the men's program. We were line mates together at St. Lawrence, so now we're coach mates. Got some former players here. You guys might see them out on the beach. They go to Courtney Kennedy Summer School. They just got to follow her around. She does a great job as an instructor. Obviously, want to thank my current players who obviously this couldn't have been possible without their performance. And as so many people have said here tonight, to show the passion and kind of give themselves over to each other. And that's what happened the second half of the season. They kind of handed themselves over to each other. And then when that happens, a lot of special and amazing things happen. So that's kind of what happened with us. So I'd like to thank them. And obviously can't do it. I got my wife and my kids here. Kate, thank you for, well, just saying yes right off the bat. So, but after that, you've been pretty good too. But Bobby wasn't going to come. I got a little guy, Bobby. He's 10, and I told him I got the award. I said, Bobby, you know, I'm going to have to give a speech at the banquet. I said, do you want to come? He's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. You know, you can see Bobby out there playing anything that runs out on the quad most of the times. But he looks at me, he goes, is Mark Johnson going to be there? And I said, I think so. He's usually there at this. And he goes, yeah, okay, I'll go. So thank you. And then as head coaches, you know, as we talk about, it's certainly not a head coach award or a coach of the year. It's a staff award. I couldn't do it without Mayor and Boomer. They do such a great job. We do such a great job, I think, just kind of working together. It's just a great place to go to work at the end of the day. You know, it never feels like work. And we keep each other pretty honest and accountable, and I think that filters down to our players. They see our relationship that we have with each other. We enjoy each other on a day-to-day basis, aside from hockey, and then we're able to kind of come and focus on the hockey when we have to. But certainly want to say thank you to Mayor and Ted for everything that they've done, and I wouldn't be standing up here without them. So I thank you, and that'll wrap it up here. And I appreciate the votes. I know this is a voted on award, and certainly when you get something from your peers, that hits you quite hard in the heart. So I appreciate all your votes, everybody, and thank you and have a good night.
You may have noticed we, in addition to Jennifer here, we're videotaping this, so we may have an opportunity to get some of that on the website when we go back. I can't imagine him and Joe Marsh in the same place. I thought Joe was the funny coach in Canton. So again, also somebody stole my thunder. I think it was Jim in acknowledging Brett, who's finishing his first year as the president of the AHCA. He's done a great job already. And, on display here at the convention, and appreciate your job in kind of setting the tone for all of this. So with that, thank you guys. We, as I mentioned, the award winners, we have the boxes up here for you to take your awards back. Any groups that want to have a photo to remember the evening. And other than that, thank you for being here and continue to support women's hockey. Thank you.